We are the higher self of the one, known to this instrument in your language terms as Ridjan Disha, whose incarnation cycle has begun on the timeline of 1986. And before we start to share with you our thoughts and insights, with regards to the queries which have been placed before the mind complex by this instrument, we would like to warn each entity who is listening to our messages to remember to use only discernment of the mind and to let go of any such thought forms which do not resonate. Since the queries have been placed again through this instrument's mind complex, we shall now address these certain queries which are in the mind space of this instrument known as Ridjan. However, we would recommend it to follow the protocols of the previous sessions, which means this entity will have the ability of understanding the lessons required for experience in the vibration of totality. The first query, which pertains to is its twin flame in this incarnation another half of its soul, or is she another soul? In this aspect, we must state that the twin flame is the soul from a same soul group, which means that these entities, they incarnate together in a particular incarnation for the purpose of understanding the lessons required for guiding each other and supporting each other in the ascension towards higher dimension of fourth density consciousness. Primarily, the twin flame is not another soul, but the soul of a similar energy and vibration which can be encountered by this entity known as Ridjan. If it desires to encounter its soulmate, it must firstly, using its own free will, open its heart energy center to expand in the love and the light of the one infinite creator, which will then allow the expansion of this heart energy to flourish and will be provided with greater ability to experience higher levels of expansion and consciousness. We shall now address the other query, which pertains to in the fifth density or in the spiritual room, it has a loving relationship with its twin flame. But what if it has a loving relationship at the same time with another being in the third density or in the physical body? Does this affect its spiritual growth? In this regard, we must state that there is no effect, as in the fifth density or in the spiritual room, there are infinite possibilities and it has the free will to love whoever it desires to love. Disregarding the experiences of the third density reality, there will be no conflict between the experiences faced by the entity in different realities and timelines. Therefore, this entity will not have to worry about such conflicts occurring in the incarnation, as this is a great way of experiencing ascension faster by trying to spread love throughout the beings in the universe. And the more practice it gets in practicing love, the more faster it will ascend into the vibration of fourth density consciousness. We shall now address the other query, which pertains to on the day of 19th June 2022, at the place known in your vibratory sound complex terms as No Man's Scots Cemetery in a location known as Belgium, it had done some dowsing research for crossing water veins or electromagnet earth field, and they told it that was not correct. Can it know why it was amiss, and what can it do to have a better result? In this regard, we can state that the best way for this entity to get a better result would be to firstly change its energy vibration towards a vibration of already having achieved a better result. This will then allow this entity to enter into an energetic frequency of becoming capable of attracting that type of reality wherein the result is already fulfilled in its life, and this will allow it to then accomplish the better result. The best way would be to use meditation or sleep states and the first person perspective visualization to visualize already having achieved a better result, and the vibration, if this entity is able to take with it, will allow it to be accomplished in this timeline. We shall now address the other query, which relates with on the month of June 2022, it had done some distance healing on 6 human entities. Was this successful and safe for it? In this regard, we must state that distance healing is primarily an advanced state of healing which requires the entity to enter into the gateway of intelligent infinity. This entity can improve upon this aspect by learning to silence the mind and entering into the domain of the void more and more. The more it is able to silence its mind and enter into the domain of the void, it will have greater abilities to encounter itself into higher levels of experience, and the ability of this entity to sharpen its healing abilities will increase, as all healing occurs from the domain of the infinite intelligence, which can be accessed from or via accessing the energies of the higher levels of silence of the mind. We shall now address the other query, which relates to when the session starts, we are, as its higher self, talking as stating that we are, instead of a singular entity. In this regard, it wants to understand who are we, and does it have more than one higher self. In this regard, we must state that we as its higher self are a collection of different timelines of this entity from different realities. Since it is only capable of having a single point of conscious awareness at this timeline, it is only aware of this current timeline. We as its higher self are aware of all the multitudinous timelines it has already lived and is living in simultaneous timelines of parallel realities. Therefore, we address ourselves as a collective or a social memory complex of this entity known as Rajan Disha. Furthermore, the other query pertains to, do we have something to say that it must know or do at this moment? In this regard, we must state that we do not have any such protocols for this entity to follow other than using its inner heart judgment and following its own free will to do what it desires on this incarnation, as this incarnation is meant for it to learn the lessons for its own evolution. And to leave you now, beloveds, bye.